Welcome to Calculus. You have arrived. I'm Wesley Childress. My students usually, when they email me, refer to me as Mr. C, and that will be fine if that's how you want to address me. You're probably looking and saying, looks like an older gentleman. Well, I'm not sure how old most of your other instructors are, but I will tell you that the subject, calculus, has been pretty static. That is, it hasn't changed a lot since years gone by. However, the delivery of it has. And so this should be your main concern, is if the delivery has changed, has my teacher changed? And I will assure you, I've been teaching quite a while and I've retooled myself many times during my career. So probably the worst scenario would be to have a course that hasn't changed, but a teacher that has, or vice versa. So hopefully I'm a good blend for teaching calculus to the students of today. Now, let me assure you, you're not going to be, if you've taken this because you think you're getting a watered down version of calculus, let me assure you that's not going to happen. Or that there's less to do. That's not going to happen either. I don't think there will be any difference in that, except that you're pacing yourself. And if you're one who works hard and tries to do everything, you may find it might be more work for you than maybe if you were just sitting in a face-to-face class. But let me assure you, I would not teach this class if I thought in any way that you were going to get less. So what's the advantage of taking this course versus taking a class in traditional class in the classroom? Well, there are a lot of advantages. One is the pace at which you go. You're more or less controlled in the face-to-face classroom. The teacher moves on, you have to move on, or you get behind. Another thing is when the course is taught, when you're going to access the material. If you have a class that meets 4 days a week for 50 minutes at 10 in the morning, you're there or you miss out. But in this case, if you're a morning person, you can access it in the morning. If you're a night person, you can do that. If you're one who wakes up in the middle of the night, you can do that. You control how often, so there are no bells that ring. You control how long. Now, I have been using this technique that I'm going to be using online here with my face-to-face class for quite some time. Many of the notes that I use will be used with you. And I've had, I believe, great success. Now, what do I measure great success by? Well, one thing is I don't have a lot of questions. Now, this is not that I'm trying to avoid questions. I like questions. Questions help me become a better teacher and you become a better student. But I judge the fact that I don't get a lot of questions to mean that the students are understanding, and they seem to. There's not a line at my office door where people have to pick a number and wait in line to talk to me about what it is they don't understand. So I think the delivery system that I'm using, that I'm going to be using with you, is good. Now, how is the class going to be set up, or how do I approach it? Well, textbooks, are divided into chapters and chapters into sections, and sometimes sections cover 3, 4, or more concepts, and it gets confusing. Especially, well, reading math books is confusing anyway. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to take small chunks of material. So what the book might consider one section, I will divide it up into 4 lectures. Another thing I do is I start with the fundamental of every topic, the most simple problem of whatever it is, the new rule, the new definition, and then we take it one step higher, and not in a big leap, but problem by problem, until we get to the more complex. Now, suppose some of you may have already had calculus and you're saying, well, I really don't need this. Well, I can't judge why you're taking it, but let me tell you that most students have had it before, find that there's a lot they didn't understand. They could work a few problems, but they saw no functionality to it. They didn't understand why the definition meant what it did, and I think in this case that's going to change for you. But then there are those of you who are starting out, have only heard of calculus and heard that it's pretty tough, which I beg to differ with, or at least the way we're going to go about it. I don't think it's going to be as tough as maybe some of your previous math courses are. However, let me tell you, those of you who are new, you are the focus. You're the focus of my thoughts. We're going to start out not with that concept that you understand it, or we're not going to let the people who have had it before set our agenda. We're going to make sure you're up to speed with those who've had it before, okay? And so that's very important. Now, let me reiterate. Welcome to calculus. You have arrived, which I said in the opening. But some of you love math, and you've been waiting for this day, and you're saying, yes, yes, I'm here. And others of you are saying, my gosh, that dreaded day has finally come. Whatever your attitude, whatever your outlook, whatever your needs, let me say to you, as far as calculus goes, welcome.